Hello everybody and welcome to the Storm Report. I am Matt Shellenberger, joined by head football coach Mike Cochran. Coach, first off, thank you very much for joining us on the Storm Report. Talk a little bit about last week's game, overall, the home opener, what you can take away from last week's game against Ouachita Baptist.
Right. Well, for one, it was good to play at home. We'd played 11 of our previous 13 games on the road, and so it was really nice to not have to get on a bus beforehand or after the game, and that was nice. Proud of how hard the guys competed, and they played extremely hard throughout the game on both sides of the football and in special teams. Certainly there's some things that if we had done better, we would have been in that game.
Ouachita Baptist, 274 rushing yards in the game. First half they were running well, especially that first possession. You guys really, in the second half, from the first quarter on really, you helped slow them down just a little bit. How difficult are they to stop from running the football?
Well, they're a good football team. They've been consistently in the top three in the GAC. In a lot of areas, including record. Last year they were 6-4, so they're always going to be tough to stop. But we also were making some fundamental mistakes. We made those adjustments at halftime, and that was the reason for the difference.
You got Arkansas Tech coming in this Saturday at home. They're 1-1 on the season, one loss and one win. They won at Northwestern Oklahoma State, and the loss was at Southwestern Oklahoma State. Can you talk a little bit about the opponent this Saturday?
Right. They actually lost to Southwestern at home, and they're a good football team as well. They are explosive on offense. They have a good group of receivers. They're the type of team that you have to be real sound against, or they're going to make you pay.
Can you talk a little bit about Ryan Mishler's play so far this season? He has 14 catches, 106 yards, a touchdown, played exceptionally well the other day. Has he been a surprise so far this year, or is he just kind of something you've expected?
No, not really a surprise. I mean, we knew he was going to be one of our top receivers going in, especially as well as he played last year, and so we're excited to see him continue to grow and improve.
Coach, the energy from the home crowd the other day, feeding off that, how does that help with just the overall aspect of getting the team ready to play?
I mean, it does a lot for you. I thought the students were great. I heard several comments about what a great student section we had. They were into the game. They were excited, and football is one of those sports that if you don't play it with passion, you don't play it with emotion, you don't play it very well, and that certainly helped on Saturday.
I want to transition over to the defensive side of the ball just a little bit and talk about Christo Lisica's play so far this season. He's got 2.5 tackles for loss. He has half a sack. He's playing pretty well. He seems like one of your defensive leaders on this team.
Well, he was one of the top defensive players in the conference on the defensive line last year, and he's a very good player. And he did get hurt in preseason and was limited. He actually only practiced I think one time before the Henderson State game, and so he's a little bit behind in terms of being game speed, but he'll continue to get better through the season.
Chris Hunter's averaging 3.8 yards per carry on the season. Do you want to get those yards per carry up into that 4.2, 4.3 range, or are you pretty satisfied with the running game so far?
I'd like 10.0 to be honest with you, but yeah, that needs to increase. To get that, you need some big runs. We've been really close. We've been a half a man away in terms of blocking. From some of those 5-yard runs, ended up being 15, 20, and beyond. So that's the real key. But yeah, he's done a great job to this point. I think the other key on him is he had 3 receptions for, I believe, 33 yards on Saturday. So.
All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with the Storm Report.
Rowing to victory requires expertise, accountability, and most of all, teamwork. That's why Kate has Tinker Federal Credit Union right there in the boat with her, helping ensure she crosses each financial finish line in first place, so she can focus on what's important. Getting a little more bling. TFCU. We get it.
Welcome back to the Storm Report. I am Matt Shellenberger, joined by defensive coordinator Craig Hubbard. Coach, first off, thank you very much for joining us here on the Storm Report. Can you talk a little bit about last week's game against Ouachita Baptist and overall how the defense played?
Sure, and good morning, and thanks for having me on the show. Last week Ouachita presented a pretty good challenge, and we ended up having a little slower start than what I wanted, but once we kind of figured out, that hey, we can play with these guys, we settled down and we started making some plays, and that was something that we really built on after the game and through this week.
You guys got some momentum when that Sherrod Daniels interception right before the half. Things were looking pretty good right there. He played pretty well. How much of a focal point to your defense is he?
He did. That was really a spark that we needed going into half, and he is one of our our top secondary players. And in the second half, we ended up putting Sherrod on their best receiver, so he was able to help control him a little bit.
We were talking about the youth of the defense. You start 5 freshmen.
Yes.
How difficult is that? Obviously, you've got a lot of talent on that defense, but they're young.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that I have to continually remind myself is that we're out there with 17 and 18-year-old kids in certain spots, and like you said, we start 5 true freshmen, but you have to take the good with the bad. You know that they're going to make some freshman mistakes at times, but generally with these guys, they only make the same mistake once, which is a real positive. And so as the season goes on and as the practices go on, they learn from their mistake. And I'm real encouraged by those young guys that are stepping up.
I want to talk a little individual play so far this season. Michael Hicks, once again, right now your leading tackler. There's no surprise there. First of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about his leadership skills, and then also my second question is Christo Lisica's play so far this season. 2.5 tackles for loss, half a sack. He's playing pretty well on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Sure. First to your first question, Michael. He obviously he's the oldest guy on defense, and he's been around for a while. And he's having a great season so far, and just this year he's really matured into that leadership role, and he's taken some of these younger guys under his wing, and he's been a real good example to them. And this week especially, he's been extremely positive, and his practice and our practice defensively has really reflected on that. Christo, he's an explosive athlete. He is one of those guys that his motor just never stops. You know what you're going to get with Christo. You're going to get 100% effort, and once he completely heals from that high ankle sprain, which he's really close. I think he's something that offenses are going to have to game plan for.
The other day against Ouachita Baptist, you guys gave up a lot of rushing yards, but a lot of those were in the first quarter, especially that first possession. I think I want to say they went like 80 yards on the ground. Yeah. Ended up with 278 rushing yards, but you guys got better as the game went along. How do you continue to improve to shore up that run defense?
Sure, you're right, and that's something that we've always taken pride in here at SNU is our run defense, and we've always been one of the top run defenses in the nation. And you're right, they had a lot of yards in that first drive. I think their tailback had 98 yards. Their starting tailback had 98 yards total, and he had over half of his yards in the first 2 plays. So once we got our fits correct and once we settled down, we started to shut their run game down, and that's the key to it. We have to start quicker, and we have to start our fits quicker, and we have to just defensively, we have to start the game a lot faster.
You got Arkansas Tech coming in on this Saturday. You get 2 home football games in a row for the first time in years, it seems like. Arkansas Tech so far this season, win at Northwestern, and then a loss at home against Southwestern. Right. How do you get prepared for them and what they're going to bring to the table?
Well, they're a very explosive offense, and they obviously early in the game they want to establish the run. They've got two pretty good sized backs. They got like a 235 pounder and a 245 pound back they really want to pound you with, and then run play action off of that. And then on the outside they've got a really good receiving core that's highlighted by a tall kid, about a 6'4" kid on the outside. So going into the game, we know we need to stop the run first. We need to stop the run, and we need to force them to put the ball in the air. And so that's the game plan going into Arkansas Tech.
All right, Coach, thank you very much for joining us on the Storm Report. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Being a frontwoman takes confidence, dedication, and more than a pinch of swagger. Lucky for Kim, she has Tinker Federal Credit Union on rhythm guitar. And with our mobile app helping keep her checking account in tune, she can focus on what's important. Nailing that next solo. TFCU. We get it.
Welcome back to the Storm Report. I am Matt Shellenberger, joined by head football coach Mike Cochran. Coach, talk a little bit about the Ouachita Baptist game last Saturday. Back to that a little bit. Third downs on the defensive side of the ball for you guys. They were kind of what killed you guys. You were doing a good job, and all of a sudden they'd get a lot of third and longs. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it was really third downs as a team. Defensively, we've got to get off the field on third down. We won first down most of the time, did some good things on second down, and it really put them in a bad situation for their offense with third and long, and they threw the ball up a couple of times, and the receiver went up and got it. We gave up a first down on a draw. I think that was 3rd and 21. But offensively, kind of the same thing. When we converted on third down, we went down and scored. And so we had 4 drives that were scoring drives for us. And on each of those, we converted on third, and then we got on a roll and they couldn't stop us. And those all but 3 of those 4 drives were long drives. 2 of them were 80-plus drives. So it really is about converting on third down offensively and stopping them on third down defensively. The other 2 issues were we made them put the ball on the ground twice, and we had a hand on it, and if we recover both those fumbles, our offense has the ball, and they end up scoring. They actually end up scoring on those that we could have scooped. If we score, that's a 28-point swing in terms of recovering those fumbles, going down and scoring. If we don't score, it's still a 14-point swing, and that's significant.
Coach, you got to be pretty excited about your red zone offense so far. 6 for 6. That's obviously 100%. 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals. You're playing well in the red zone, and that's a very underrated stat in football, is scoring points in the red zone.
That's a huge improvement from last year. That's where we struggled. We dedicate practice time every day to red zone. Our call sheet for the red zone is pretty extensive. We've got a lot of things that we like, and it's just that's been intentional. Sometimes teams get stops, but the more we practice, the better we get at it.
Talk about the special teams just a little bit. You guys, the special teams has been pretty good so far this year. Ian Sanders is playing well. Jaquil Everhart's punting it well. Jared Martin, as far as kickoff returns, and also DeFonso Max kickoff returns. You guys have got some pretty good numbers on the special team side.
Right, and that'd be Jonathan Martin on the kickoff returns.
Absolutely.
They have. We're really close to doing some big things in our return game. And our coverage units have been there, but they still need to be cleaned up. And those guys are learning and getting better, in those roles as the season progresses.
The offensive side of the ball, the other day, you guys played pretty well, 24 points. Is 24 points kind of the number? Should 24 points be enough to score to win a football game in this conference?
Well, we want to score 1 more point than our opponent. So Saturday night it wasn't enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on the Storm Report, and we will preview the Arkansas Tech game next Thursday.